Throughout Magic's history, there's been a plethora of varied mechanics. Some have been huge hits, and others, well, might be called misses. The likelihood of these mechanics returning in a standard legal set has been deemed the Storm Scale by Magic the Gathering head designer Mark Rosewater. Although not exactly one-to-one, the Storm Scale has quickly become shorthand for how powerful a mechanic is, because the more broken or unfun it is, the less likelihood it has of seeing reprinting in the next set. It gets its name from a mechanic that Mark Rosewater has described as the most broken mechanic ever to see print: Storm. Storm is a keyworded ability found across a group of instants and sorceries across all colors that simply reads, when you cast this spell, copy it for each spell cast before it this turn. You may choose new targets for the copies. Although Storm has only been found on 21 cards out of the over 19,000 printed throughout the history of Magic, it's created top-tier deck archetypes in literally every format, created one of the most exciting Pro Tour moments of all time, and forever warped the way players look at even the most innocuous of commons. Although most of the cards with Storm are not particularly powerful by themselves, they become game-winning cards in certain conditions. Decks built around Storm want to cast a huge number of spells in one turn, and then cast a card with Storm, using the additional copies to end the game. There are two categories of cards that most Storm decks use to accomplish this: rituals and cantrips. Rituals are instants and sorceries that generate temporary mana in a one-shot effect and refer to Dark Ritual, a card initially printed in Alpha. For 1 black mana, Dark Ritual allows you to gain 3 black mana, effectively netting you 2 black mana for the cost of 1 card. Although rituals started in black, they have since been color shifted more to red in recent times. Some rituals include Rite of Flame, Cabal Ritual, and Desperate Ritual. Cantrips, on the other hand, are spells that replace themselves by drawing a card and sometimes have an additional, albeit minor, effect. The term originally came from the tabletop gaming community, where a cantrip is a spell that can be used multiple times, but has a relatively minor effect. Some cantrips include Manamorphose, Serum Visions, and Opt. The combination of these two categories is what help makes a Storm deck run. Rituals make sure you have enough mana to cast spells, while cantrips help you keep up your card advantage that's lost by the rituals. All the while, these bring the number of spells cast for the turn, referred to as the Storm Count, up and up. Once the Storm Count hits the double digits, a deck can go off with Tendrils of Agony, which causes only a life loss of 2, but when it's duplicated 10 times, can quickly drain a player for all of their life. Other versions seek to push the Storm Count even higher by using the sorcery spell Past in Flames to recast the previous instants and sorceries from the graveyard by giving them flashback, effectively doubling the Storm Count in a single turn. Once you push past 20, a Grape Shot can deal 1 damage, just duplicated 20 times. Outside of Tendrils of Agony and Grape Shot, some decks use Ignite Memory to deal even more damage, Empty the Warrens to create an army of Goblin tokens, or Brain Freeze to deck the other player out. Storm is one of the most competitive deck archetypes and can quickly go off on turn 3 or 4 in some formats. The main weaknesses of the deck are that it heavily relies on being able to chain a sequence of spells together, and sometimes uses the graveyard as a resource. Some of the best ways to compete against Storm are Deafening Silence, Rule of Law, and Grafdigger's Cage. Ironically, the Storm cards Weather the Storm and Flusterstorm are also great at combating the archetype. Since Storm as a mechanic counts the number of spells cast regardless of player, Weather the Storm could give you enough life to survive a deluge of spells, and a Flusterstorm could counter even the biggest stack. It's important to note that because of the way Storm adds to the stack, it's surprisingly resilient to counterspells. Each copy of the spell is its own instance and would need to be countered separately, even if the original copy did not resolve. Outside of a sideboard or silver bullet answer, it's difficult to combat the overwhelming number of spells it can cast in a single turn. That power is what's helped cement Storm's legacy as one of the most powerful mechanics of all time.